Hey, it's William Mullaney from Flowers and Scents with your floral industry buzz. Hey, today I'm going to interview Valerie Crisostomo, I believe, from Black Girl Florist. And Valerie and I have run into each other at several recent conventions, and I talked to her, and I thought she was doing something different. So I like different things here on Flowers and Scents. So without further ado, let's learn about Black Girl Florist. Okay, Valerie Crisostomo. I got um, from Black Girl Florists. So you and I have been running into each other a little bit the last couple conventions, I guess.
Yep.
And I like to do things different, or if I see people doing things different in the flower business, I say, okay, that might be something that's worth my time and effort to investigate. And I think this is one of those cases. So Black Girl Florist arrived on the scene and talk about it. Let's go. What's it all about?
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Willie. I'm glad to be able to chat with you. And yes, we have been running into each other quite a bit at some floral events, and it's so nice to meet you. Well, Black Girl Florist is a space for Black women in floral design to grow and get to know one another. So we exist to support and encourage and celebrate Black florists in the floral industry.
Hmm. All right. Well, that's a very encouraging thing to do. And apparently, there are a number of black florists out there, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we make up about 2% of the entire industry. And there are about 300 to 500 Black florists that engage with the organization daily.
And what about black men? Are they-
Oh, yes, yes. There are a lot of Black men in floral design. And that, I mean, total Black florists make up about 2%. So with that 2 to 3%, that is inclusive of Black men and Black women in floral design.
All right, but in your case, you're focusing on black women in floral, is that correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And what do black florists do different than white florists? Anything?
Well, that's a really great question. We don't do a lot of different things than our white peers. We are just simply underrepresented. And I think that's the purpose of Black Girl Florists is to shine light on the fact that as Black women, we are doing, if not more, the very same thing that our Caucasian peers are doing.
Hmm, okay. Um, that's fair enough. I'm curious how you all got started in this. So you are a florist, I take it?
I am a florist, yes. I've been doing flowers and working with flowers for about 7 years. And I've done pretty much everything from event floristry to retail floral work. And I kind of hover somewhere in the middle, doing a little bit of both. I also really enjoy doing freelance floral work. So yeah, it's about 7 years now.
All right, so you've actually created Black Girl Florist as more than just a brand. It's a thing, if you will.
It's
Uh,
a community.
it's a
It's a community.
community, and
Yeah.
you're having events, and you have I guess you do Zoom calls and stuff like that to sort of get everybody together and rally the troops.
Yes, correct. So we mainly meet virtually, and that's because we are an international organization. We have florists all over the world that participate in Black Girl Florists. So we have one annual conference where we all meet together, and that happens in the spring each year. But for the most part, our meetings are virtual with florists from all over the world.
And when you have a convention, I mean, how many people are showing up at this thing?
About 50 to 60.
That's a lot in the grand scheme of things, since it's a small percentage of the business to begin with. So,
Yeah.
um, and what is your goal there? To just to find camaraderie amongst your fellow sisters?
Yeah, I mean, it's threefold. The main goal of the organization is to be able to collaborate with one another and show that we can work together in an industry that people would think is very saturated, to celebrate and champion one another. I think that the perspective could be that florists compete with one another, and in this organization, we don't compete. We celebrate, we work together, and we make it a point to show up for one another. And it brings me to the first thing, honestly, that I should have said is that there is no competition because we focus on our talent, we focus on the way that we can excel in this industry, And that creates space for other florists to fill in or to participate in a capacity that I can't participate in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. So you're not necessarily competing with each other. You're sort of collaborating with each other to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the first things that we talk about in the organization is our identity. Who are we as florists? What is our relationship with flowers? Do we enjoy doing retail work and getting out 25 arrangements a day? Or do we enjoy event work where we spend days preparing for this event and then we execute on site? Like, what is our relationship? And then once we understand what kind of florist we want to be, then we're able to really go in that area, and that creates space for other florists who work in different capacities to come alongside of us. Because guess what, Willie? I can't do all of the events. And I have tried, okay? I have given it my fair shot, but I had to determine for myself what was my capacity in light of my family, in light of my career goals. And then when I understood who I was and what my relationship to flowers was going to be, then it made space for me to collaborate with my sisters in the floral industry and understand they're not my competition. They bridge the gap for me so that there's representation here.
Hey, do black florists face any challenges that your Caucasian counterparts don't?
I am so glad that you asked. Um, the first challenge, like I mentioned earlier in our conversations, is underrepresentation. There's this idea that we do not function in this industry and we are thriving. I think once you start to get into the understanding of the type of work we do, event florals, installation, all of those things, you start to see that we're thriving vibrantly, but we do not have the same access to publications in building some particular relationships. And that has been, I mean, a tale as old as time. And I feel like with our organization, that's one of the points, just letting people know we're here. There's not one Black florist that there are so many of us that are working very, very diligently in this industry.
Hmm. Well, having gone to a lot of conventions, as you know, there are there's not a lot of black folk in our in the industry for sure,
Yeah.
but they're there, and I have sought many of them out, more in Europe than perhaps here in America, I suspect. But it's an interesting dynamic that you've sort of carved out here. Because it is a unique situation. Florists are people and designers and artists, and flowers don't care what color anybody is. They design me nicely and make people happy. I think that's the mission, huh?
Yeah, I think so too.
Hmm. All right, and so what's the future here? You're just trying to collect more, or you sort of have you identified? I'm hoping, by the way, that after our this conversation, I publish it, that some black florists they're going to say, "Hey, I didn't know there was the Black Girl Florist around there, and maybe I need to join up." So I have no idea of the racial diversity of my mailing list, but there's got to be some black florists out there somewhere that haven't
Absolutely.
heard about you.
We're here, yes. I mean, the main goal, other than championing Black floors in this space, is to basically let people know that we're here and where we are. Our organization got started with a list, in the height of the racial tension that was happening in this country again in the summer of 2020. I
And
created
it
a list.
continues.
Yes, and I created a list so that people could find us in their cities to be able to support Black-owned businesses, to be able to shop Black for their flowers. And that list has only gained popularity more and more and more and more. And a lot of women have been able to be found in their cities just by being a part of this list. And this list is completely complimentary.
And that list is hosted on your website, is it not?
It is, yes, on the website under the Find a
Find
Florist
a
tab.
florist, right?
Correct. Yep.
Hey, does Black Girl Florist have? I noticed you did some work with slow flowers and the other lady. There were there about using local flowers. Are you guys hell bent on using local flowers, or imported flowers are okay, or do you care?
I think it's a little bit of both. What I really love is that Slow Flowers has really come alongside our organization and supported us in having us speak and participate in their conferences and in their meetings. But when it comes to shopping locally or shopping abroad, I think it runs the gamut, right? Because not every florist is different. Their needs are different, the requests are different. And I think that there is a place for every way that people source flowers. I think if you are lucky or blessed to be close to a flower farm that grows exactly the flower varieties that you need, definitely working with flower farmers is ideal. But if you're working with a bride or a client that's looking for a unique exotic flower that you can only source abroad, then that is your avenue. I think the important thing is to really pay attention to what exactly are you doing? What is the request?
Yeah, well, I have walked this fine line between growers and importers, imports and domestic. And clearly, I have always said if you can buy flowers domestically that suit your needs, do it. Makes total sense. You're going to get fresher flowers. They're going to be supporting some local grower. Why not do that if you can, if it's available? But again, if you want 1,000 Sahara on a specific date, you're not going to get them. Nobody's growing that many domestically. So
Exactly.
I think there's clearly a room for all the people in the growing industry.
Yes,
Um, and,
definitely.
and if it's local flowers, yippee! I'm happy for local flowers. I certainly support local grown flowers, and to that extent, people have no idea where flowers come from anyway. So I have spent my life sort of explaining to people where your flowers come from where. And in fact, I wrote a book that I'm about to publish, and it's called "Flowers Come From Where."
Nice.
Um, about my experience in the flower business. So I'm a little precursor there that what hopefully I'm going to get this published. And so Valerie, so people should go to Black Girl Florist, excuse me, .com, right?
Yes, definitely. Check us out.
I will throw it up on the website so they can see it here. And
Thank you.
look, I thank you for your time today, and good luck with what you're doing. I like it. It's different. It's something unique, I think. And hey, I'm really happy for you. So keep going. Do it.
Thank you so much for having me, Willie.
It's my pleasure. And you all have a nice day. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk
See
to you
ya.
later. See you again.